Okay, so let us start this session. Good afternoon once again. So let me share the screen to you guys. Please confirm if you can see the screen. Okay, I see it. I see the response. So great. So today our topic is Puppet. So we'll start the Puppet. Okay, great. So Puppet, you know this. Let me write the points. So let's see the introduction to the Puppet. Introduction to the Puppet. You know that Puppet comes under configuration management tool. This is one of the CM tools that you have in DevOps. Second, this tool comes under specialization of infrastructure management. I told you anything that claims that infrastructure management, it can do everything. That means it is trying to implement a concept called IAC. The full form of IAC is infrastructure as a code. That is the meaning of it. So Puppet came way back in 2013, 2005 roughly. So in 2005 it came, and the person who invented was Luke Kenneth. Luke Kenneth. Luke Kenneth was a person who invented this, and the Puppet is an open source. Puppet is an open source. So that's the introduction. It does not have any background story. Simply a person called Luke Senes has started developing the Puppet. And Puppet, please be aware, it is one of the oldest player in the market, and it got very good proportion of market share. Okay. So if you talk about the features of Puppet, if you talk about the features of the Puppet, these are the point. First point is, first of all, it's an open source, and also this open source is coming. Open source is there, and also you have another brand called same copy is there, which is enterprise also. So this Puppet is available in both editions, that is open source and enterprise. And Puppet operates on two-tier architecture system. Two-tier architecture system. Two-tier, you know it. Two-tier means you will have a server and you will have the clients. So clients are trying to approach the master. Okay. The next, it follows in a CM tools. We know that there are two types. We know that there are two types, push and pull. But this follows the pull configuration. Pull configuration mechanism. Full configuration mechanism means in simple. So clients will go ahead and contact the server for their updates, or you can say something called their implementation of configuration management. The next, it is non-agentless. It implements non-agentless architecture. What does it mean? Non-agentless architecture means Simply it's all about like on the client side we have to install the package. If it is agentless architecture, we do not install any kind of the product based software on the clients, but if it is non-agentless architecture means we have to install the softwares regarding to the product onto the client. And here the server has to be a Linux and it should be 64-bit. If you go to the technical, so these are the features guys, but I am trying to go now to the technical features. So if I talk about the technical features, first one we see that server requires a 64-bit and clients also can be Windows. It can also be a Linux, but it should be 64-bit. That means in entire architecture of the Puppet, we cannot have, the derivation is that we cannot have anything that is 32-bit. So in Puppet architectures, we cannot use 32-bit operating systems or machines. You can say simply machines. Or another way of telling is there is no provision for Mac also. No Mac. Okay. So no place for, or we can say we cannot use Mac. Simply if it is a server, Linux has to be 64-bit, and if it is a client, it has to be a Windows and it has to be 32-bit. And if you talk more, Puppet has been written in Ruby language. And here we write our scripting. The language is called Ruby DSL. Full form of DSL is domain specific language. Domain specific language. You got it? What I'm trying to do, guys? So if anybody has not copied these steps, please copy. Please do it fast. Let me know once you guys have copied. I repeat, technical features server should be a Linux. It should be 64-bit. Client should be Windows or a Linux. That should be 64-bit. That means in Puppet architectures, we cannot use 32-bit machines or we cannot use Mac computers. And Puppet has been developed in Ruby language, and the deployment that we are going to write the script, we have to use Ruby DSL. Okay, the next point. Here the Linux has a specific name. We call that as Puppet Master. These are the technical names you need to remember. It is called Puppet Master. And the client machines have their own names here. It is called Puppet Agent. So they have a specific names here, guys. That is Puppet Master and Puppet agent. The next point, if you talk, we know that in Ansible, if we try to compare, if we know that in Ansible we used to call playbooks. We are aware? We used to say playbooks. Correct? We are done with the Ansible, so we know that what is a playbook. Same thing in the Chef, we are done with it. So we know that this is called cookbooks. Correct? Okay. So in Ansible we say playbooks. In Chef we say cookbooks. But in Puppet we have to say manifest. Simple. Manifest. Understood, guys? What is the reason of manifest? Ansible playbooks, Chef cookbooks, Puppet manifest. Okay. Then next. Now one more comparison so that you will understand. In Ansible, we used to write something called play. Correct? Inside of the playbooks, we used to write something called play. In a chef, inside of a cookbook, we used to write the coding in recipe. Do you remember this? Same. In Puppet, we call same thing singular form. We call it as manifest. That's it. Manifest. See, manifest is different. Manifest. So actual coding goes and sits in manifest file. Okay. The next, if you talk about, I think comparison makes you understanding easier. Do you agree with me, guys? I'm trying to compare with what you already learned so that you can understand the Puppet better. You can visualize what is happening. Okay, in Ansible we used to say something called modules. Do you agree? Everything is happening by the modules. Correct? Here in the Chef, everything is happening in the form of resources. By looking at resources, you need to write the code. Same case in the Puppet, still we call it here also resources. Nothing changes. Please copy this comparison.